Hi there, you're looking at a slightly battered comic block from part of the Nerd Block family. This is the July 2015 box. This is the second comic block I've had. I liked the first one, but I think one of the reservations was a lot of first issues and other comics that you'd have to continue subscribing separately to get the full story. I suppose that's always likely to be the case, but I do enjoy some of these special editions I have in there. I haven't got every comic block, but they're nice to dip into occasionally, just like Horror Block, Arcade Block, and all the other blocks there. I think the financial cost of getting everything would just be too high, so it's the only strategy when reviewing boxes, and I do pay for all these boxes, is to dip in and out of them and see what's there. This is Comic Block. This was sent to the UK. It took just over a week. It's always very good shipping from Canada. I've managed to avoid looking at customs label. I've just scored through, so let's see what kind of comics we've got inside the comic block for July 2015. And so there, what surprises await our hero? Well, the first surprise, or not that much of a surprise, is the T-shirt. It's always good to have a T-shirt at what's quite a good price point for this block. It is a Nerd Block exclusive, unlike the Nerd Block the other week, which was missing the label, and Shirt Punch. There's a promo code there, which I suspect is very well publicised. You can probably read that Best Shirts promo code there to save 10%. I presume this means exclusive. Suggested retail price $19.99. I tend to put these down as $10 because T-shirts are really two a penny, but it's black. Always a good colour. It's a Gildan made in Nicaragua. I think they may have moved their T-shirt production, because I don't remember noticing that in the past. And it's a nice helmet there. I'm sure there's an obvious reference, perhaps slightly Stormtrooper-like. But there you go, yeah, very, very good design. I'll certainly wear that one when I cycle through all the many other shirts I get in these boxes. But now onto the main bits about Comic Block, and there's always going to be an item comic related. It looks like a drinks coaster feeling the back of it, and you can see that there. Interesting design. I always find that drinks coasters on their own aren't the most useful things in the world, because who really has all these mismatched drinks coasters? Don't all write in at once to reply to the video and say you have lots of mismatched drink coasters. Perhaps though it could go under a plant or something like that, where it works quite well. So nice enough. And then we move on to the main part of the box, which is the comics. So starting off, Star Wars Lando with a bonus digital edition. I presume this may or may not be an exclusive. It doesn't say anything about it on there. It is nicely bagged and boarded, which not all comics in boxes are. Let's have a glance inside and see what we can see about this. I don't know about this particular Star Wars series as the biggest follower, but is there anything in the copyright? Just glancing through that, no, nothing to mention it's an exclusive. There is the Star Wars scrolling text there, Lando Part 1, some adverts. So it looks interesting enough read. See what's going on. I'm sure that if I was more familiar with all the Star Wars series, then this would tell me something that was going on. It'd be an obvious character to follow, but it's a miniseries. You can get a free digital copy as well by following those instructions there. Code hidden underneath. So, nice enough. The advert for Ant-Man, great film, enjoyed that one. So there's the first comic, Star Wars, and secondly I can immediately see Star Trek, which is a series I'm more likely to watch. This one is a DC IDW comic. It is a comic block exclusive, but look, it's got the logo on the side. This one is sealed, so it's slightly harder to get into live, but it's a crossover event. Looking at it, Star Trek, Green Lantern, and the Spectrum War. They're not an obvious combination of crossovers that would go together, but I suppose that's the thing about comic crossovers. Looks an interesting enough one. And it's a one of 6, so of course it is always a series, but it is an exclusive, and I will certainly dip into that and see what's going on there. And presumably our third and final comic is a Dark Horse Comics. I don't read many Dark Horse comics. Negative Space. And this one Yeah, this one is sealed. I suspect these sealings don't actually do much good because everyone has to unseal them. I prefer the folding over option with the first comic, but you can see the presumably writers or artists. Yeah, in issue 1, probably doesn't immediately grab me based on the cover, but we'll find out about it. Let's have a look at the information card. And so our July comic block 3, we've got the crossover event Star Trek Green Lantern, and the franchises collide with the Green Lantern Corps. And this is an exclusive cover, so it's nice to have it. I presume it's the original Star Trek crew based on the logo there. We've also got the Negative Space #1, and one man finds himself at the loss for words while trying to pen a suicide note, so he decides to walk it off. Little does he expect this walk would change his life forever. Well, could be some interest there. You've got Star Wars Lando #1. Lando Carlson is the coolest scoundrel in the Star Wars galaxy, so he's got his own comic series. Well, it just shows you how little I know about Star Wars there. Arc Reactor Coaster. So, that's that. And a T-shirt for ants. Oh, okay. So that's where the reference comes from. That is Ant-Man. Of course, looking at the T-shirt now, I can recognise the helmet. But it just shows you how sometimes these are quite subtle and little things you don't notice. But there we have quite an interesting set of items in there. I don't think the comics are quite as good a selection as the first batch that I got. There's certainly not so many of the exclusive and things to add value, but it's a nice T-shirt. Nice Ant-Man inspired there. And the Star Wars comic, we've got the crossover with Star Trek and Green Lantern. The Negative Space comic, which is always good to have something a bit different. And the coaster to do with the Arc Reactor. And Tony Stark, as it says, so we can get the reference. But there we have Comic Block, July 2015. Thanks for looking at all these items with me. Hope you enjoyed the unboxing video. Do check out much more at geeksubscriptionbox.com and stay tuned for more videos.